Good morning and welcome to Quest Television and Quest 93.1 FM, the station that goes beyond your expectation. Well, today is the first day in the month of September in the year 2023. A lovely Friday here in the studios, and I hope you're having a lovely Friday as well. It is time for us to look into the headlines making the rounds on the dailies. My name is Orikemi Mariam, and with that being said, it is time for the paper review on Quest today. Making a return to the studios this morning are 6 newspapers. We have The Guardian, The Nation, The Daily Sun, The Nigerian Tribune, The Punch, as well as The Vanguard newspaper. And as I said earlier on, it is a Friday, and you already know it is a full house. With me in the studio is my colleague, the person of Michael Gubadia, and our ever admirable and, questionable at this point, Quest analyst, the person of Comrade Efe Odomo. Good morning, gentlemen.
If you make that statement again, I will tell all my friends to start making noise now.
Well, anyways, the way you introduce him, sometimes I feel a bit jealous.
It is question jealous?
Yes,
really?
You give him so many titles, and me, I'm just a colleague.
Okay. When you paid your dues.
She's confirming I've paid my dues.
Okay.
Well. With that being said, well, the first paper for review is The Guardian. And on The Guardian newspaper this morning, the major headline reads, Democracy without elections, how emperor governors and ad hoc administrators collapsed grassroots governance in 238 local councils. You can read all of that on page 4 and 5 of The Guardian, but added to that is the picture there on the screen. But like I said, digest everything on page 4 and 5 of The Guardian. Moving above that, we have minister orders relocation of foreign airlines to new Lagos Airport Terminal. It's making it to page 3. After 244 years of reign, sit-tight African leaders review security architecture. It's making it to page 6. CBN and banks investigate suspected $1 billion currency counterfeiting. It's making it to page 18. And also revenue falls by 23% as federal and state local government areas share 4.37 trillion naira. More on that story you can get on page 26. 2,588 children sexually and emotionally abused in 12 months, says the Lagos state government. And more on that story you can get on page 29. And well, that's much we can take on the front page of The Guardian.
Well, let's quickly go to The Punch as we continue our paper review. And on The Punch this morning, the leading story reads, AU suspends Gabon as Cameroon, Rwanda retires generals, 1,000 soldiers. And that is the fear of coups. And if you allow me, just do a few kickers to that. AU says suspension in force until democracy is restored. Niger humanitarian crisis looms. And Niger junta order forceful eviction of French ambassador, cancels envoy family visa. But anyway, you need to visit that on page 2 and get more stories. Federal government, states, local government share 4.37 trillion in 6 months, says NITI. And that story is on page 16. Jobs as airport expansion, government to demolish multi-billion naira Lagos private jet terminals. As federal government to evict 22 jets, Kiamo relocates foreign airlines to new terminal. But get that story more on page 19. Let's quickly see if we take some other story just below the picture of the day. AGF, CBN, governors threatened with arrest for shunning, or CBN governor rather, threatened with arrest for shunning reps probe, and you can get that on page 29. Jealous lover kills girlfriend with sledgehammer. Ooh, sad one. And if it's Romeo and Juliet, I wonder why he didn't take poison and meet her there. By the way, take that on page 5. Oil thefts. Navy arrest on Polo's men. Security firms kick. And anyway, just don't kick yourself, but get more of that story on page 25 of The Punch. 12 children, over 60 others die in South Africa burning fire. And a sad story making the picture of the day, and a story you can get on page 8. That's what you can take from The Punch.
All right. Well, the next paper for review is The Nation. And on The Nation newspaper, the major headline reads, Federal government halts Nigeria Air. The rider there says airport concession suspended and foreign airlines to operate from new terminal in Lagos from October 1st. All of that you can get on the front page and continue on page 4 of The Nation. Government hammer to fall on illegal miners, says ministers. But will it fall on those who sent the miners there? We do not know. But more on that story you can get on page 5. APC suspends ex-speaker and ex-SSG and 26 others in Osun. Why? Get that story on page 25. And Akeredolu returns soon, says Ondo government. More on that you can get on page 25 as well. Tinubu to deliver Nigeria's statement at UNGA September 19th is making it to the front page as well. But get more details on that on page 5. And AU suspends Gabon. The writer there says Cameroon, Rwanda rejig military. And also Tinubu says Niger junta can quit within 1 year. Get more on that story on page 4 after reading on the front page. Moving away from that, we have more protest over NDDC board is on page 8. And federal government plans Lagos-Abuja highway, says Umahi. Get more on that story on page 12. And well, for a picture of the day, we can see Senate President Godswill Akpabio and Anambra State Governor Charles Soludo at the funeral mass in honor of the late Senator Annie Okonkwo in Idibli, not local government area of Anambra State. And this picture was taken on Tuesday. That's so much we can take on the front page of the Nation.
Nigerian Tribune is the next paper we need to look at, and let's quickly look at that, just like that of the Nation. Kiamu suspends Nigerian Air project concession of airports. Just a kicker to that, says suspension stays until all processes allegedly non-transparent are reviewed. And the President is already briefed on that as direct international airlines to relocate to new terminal of the MMIA from October 1st. But anyway, we first get that news on page 12 of the Nigerian Tribune. AU suspends Gabon over coup, and as Rwanda Cameroon reshuffles military, Niger junta orders police to expel French ambassador. And you can get that story on page 4. Police arrest owners of dogs that mauled child to death in Osun. A very sad story, but you can get that on page 23. And Niger development in Gabon has confirmed my fears. Not me saying that, but President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on page 23. Osun APC suspends another 28 loyalists of Agbere Shola, and is like the war there has not ceased to exist. But then we get that story on page 25. PDP Southwest National Vice Chairman, all eyes on Makinde, Adeleke and others and, as replacements, but you can just get that story on page 3. Still in the Southwest, Ogun, Assembly summons Accountant General, JAAC committee members over alleged local government fund diversion, and you can get that story on page 8. And Delta Global, Appeal Court orders Election Petition Tribunal to retry Labour candidates' petition, and that story is on page 23. But the picture of the day is no other but President Bola Ahmed Tinubu with Jim Ovia, and well, anyway, he had to pay the president a visit yesterday. That's the much you can take from the Nigerian Tribune. Okay, well, the newspaper to be reviewed now is the Daily Sun. And on the front page of the Daily Sun this morning, we read, Federal government suspends Nigeria Air, shuts old Lagos International Airport come October 1st. The writer that says orders foreign airlines to move to new terminal and stops Abuja and Kano Airport concession. More on that story you can get on page 23. Article urges African leaders to address causes of coups and not symptoms. It's making it to the front page. The writer that says condemns military takeover in Gabon. Do want to continue all of that on page 6. In Wayanwu, Aim and others meet over Igbo Heroes Award. That's making it to page 26. Reports and experts brand Naira Africa's worst currency. Well, get more data on page 2. Top government officials and industry players and others to attend Enugu Economic Summit today. You can continue that story on page 7. Still on page 7, an interesting one. I was not sacked as Delta governor, says Oboriwori. Moving on, NHF probe. It says reps fume over absence of AGF and CBN governor. Get more on that story on page 26. And still on page 26 of the Daily Sun, flood claims 5 lives in Adamawa as Nasarawa orders evacuation from riverine communities. A sad one there indeed. Moving on, 10 feared killed in renewed cult war in Edo. It's making it to page 5. And also AU suspends Gabon over coup as Cameroon and Rwanda reorganize military. The writer there says new military leaders to be sworn in on Monday, and forceful removal of democratically elected leaders unacceptable, Tinubu tells NSCIA. Get more on that story on page 6 of the Daily Sun. And well, for the picture of the day, we can see the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, and Governor Chukwuma Soludo of Anambra State at the funeral mass in honor of late Senator Annie Okonkwo, and also President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in a handshake with Jim Ovia. And well, that's the most we can take on the front page of the Daily Sun. The Vanguard will be the last paper for us to truly look at today as we look at the paper review. Cool scare, sit tight leaders move against their military. And just write us to that. Says Rwanda retires 12 generals, over 800 other ranks. Cameroon reshuffles military. And just shuffle through that story on page 5. But let's quickly take orders. Hardship. With patience, determination, we will succeed, says Tinubu. And I can see Commander Domo not smiling about that, but you can get that story on page 27. Danger as bandit vandalize Makurdi power. And you can also get that story on page 13. Poor governance responsible for banditry, kidnapping in Northwest. I'm not saying so. But Kashim Shettima is screaming out that loud on page 13. And federal government to establish mobile courts on FMG sexual harassment in schools and others, says Minister. And you can get that story on page 8. Our 16 years in power, Nigerians' golden era, PDP boast. And you can get more of that, believe, on page 8. Federal government shot MMIA October 1st, halts Nigerian project. And there is that story making the rounds on all papers today. But you can continue that story on page 15 of the Vanguard newspaper. Nigeria UN signed MOUs to tackle terrorism. And, we had a whole lot of them. But anyway, page 9 has more of that story. We was talking about sport on page 31. Lukaku joins Roma on season long loan. And I wonder whether he would, anyway, let me just leave that. But yes, will that definitely bring more for Jose Mourinho? But anyway, I don't know. NIPC directs marketers to Pinnacle as pipeline under repairs, says Ipman. And we're talking about scarcity. But the picture of the day, no scarce one. It's always been there on almost all the dailies today. Tinubu receives Jim Ovia. And that's much we can take from the Vanguard.
Well, at this point, we've taken all the headlines on front pages of all the dailies I mentioned earlier, which is The Guardian, The Nation, The Daily Sun, The Nigerian Tribune, The Punch, as well as the Vanguard newspaper. Right now, open the phone line so you could call into the show and have your say. Do not forget to stick to the headlines making the rounds. The numbers to call are on your screen, but for those on radio, the numbers are 080-22-931-931 and 081-88-888-931. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Yes.
Good morning, man. This is Henry from Mosoga.
Yes, Mr. Henry from Mosoga. Welcome to the show.
You suspect Gabon as Rwanda and Cameroon retired generals, 1,000 soldiers. Atiku asked Adela to tackle causes of coups and not the victims. Gabon coup, Matthias Tinubu. Now, the truth is that there's a saying, like powerlessness, privation, and the causes of revolution. In other words, when the people seem to be powerless and the hardship among them, revolution comes in. The truth is that, when I would like to know, there's no African country that is well governed. And of course, like Atiku is saying, now the last coup, now what is the asking? They say that the election was not fair and fair. We must not forget that we have a similar election here that they are still contesting in court. So, like Atiku is saying, they should look at the causes and not the symptoms. Honestly speaking, I'm not supporting coups. We know how coups are with the people in Nigeria now. Today we are talking about the structure. The military guys did this thing, but unfortunately we cannot destroy it. That's 1990 now, we have to the structure. So that should be the thing. They should look at governance and look at the people. They should stop wrong policy that will making people, because the truth that the people are not adjusting. Look at it now.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Henry. Well, we have to keep space for others to be able to call in. We have to take more reactions.
You're right about that.
Yeah, so with that being said, let's take more calls. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Well, Michael, probably.
Well,
Good morning, Mike.
Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning, Mr. Mike.
Good morning, Mr. Friday.
Yeah, Mr. Friday.
Well, it's a
Calling from
beautiful
Mr.
Friday.
Yes,
Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Federal government to establish mobile court for sexual harassment.
Yes.
I want to say that that is a very good, very good. That is very good suggestion. That establishment of mobile court is well articulated. They should go ahead with that project because Kitofas are looming around our houses. They are looming around our houses, so they need to have a continuous judgment because this will serve as a deterrent to people that is trying to create that as a ministry. It is not too good, so they should get that court established without wasting time. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Friday.
Well, we still have time. Yeah, we still have time to take more calls. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Captain Alex calling from Gucci Farm.
All right, Captain Alex, please have your say.
My most confined, that young man that killed that. Hello, sir.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
That young man that killed that young lady with sledgehammer. For what? Our boys should learn. It's too offensive. Too poor. Yeah. Then Gabon crew, please, our president should stay off all these schools because the people are not happy. If they are happy, they won't have been jubilating when the president was overthrown. God bless you.
All right, thank you very much. But at this point, let's put a hold on the calls first and move over to Comrade. Well, Comrade.
I'm with you, 247.
Yes, you have heard the reactions of the people on various topics. But let's start with the most pressing one, which would actually even major as the major story today on the big story. Yes, Atiku urges African leaders to solve or to tackle or address the causes of coups and not their symptoms, especially now as the AU has suspended Gabon over coup. And right now we can see other countries such as Cameroon and Rwanda rejigging their military and all of that. What's your take to all of this?
Yeah, thank you, Miriam. Causes of coup in Africa can be traced and tied to three major areas: the electioneering process, the sit-tight syndrome, and rulership by conquest. Our electoral process has been so faulty from beginning, in the sense that once you get into office, if the president is from a particular party, you see that almost all the governors, the chairmen will all move to that political party because nobody wants to be in your position and nobody wants to say what you are doing is wrong. And when you continue that way and the people that disgruntled, there is no way they will not revolt. It's just like you are building a dam to block the waters, the flow of waters. At a point, the water gets angry and you have no choice. You have to go and open that dam yourself because you cannot keep water in a stagnant position in perpetuity. It will not work. Then when you talk of rulership by conquest, they believe that once you get into that position, everything belongs to you. And the major burn again, which is not so major like the first three, is the involvement of the Western nations. Because when they see all these things happening, they don't say a word. They don't say anything. That man has been able, that is, I'm talking of Gabon now, the man has been there with his family for 53 good years. They have stolen the country dry, talking of Bugatti, talking of every type of thing they have. But the country is one of the poorest on earth. And the son is even planning to take over from the father. You can imagine the age of that man winning election again. The electoral process there, with declaring the man a winner of an election. Why do you think the people will not be angry?
Okay, let's move away from the international scene and come back to our own very Delta State here yesterday. Well, the governor of Delta State had to come out and make a statement yesterday. He said, I was not sacked as Delta governor. What's your take today?
Yes, definitely he was not sacked. Because many people are just waiting that the man should be sacked. But your wish cannot be the law. There is a difference between the law position and the position of the people. If the law is on a certain course and they know that they are on a justified course, there is nothing the wish of the people can do. What went on yesterday was the tribunal refused to entertain the case or some of the cases of Kempela. And Kempela went on appeal and he won. And they said, go back and retry those cases. Those who were waiting for the downfall of Oberiwori just went to the street and said, oh, Oberiwori has been sacked. Oberiwori has been sacked. He was not sacked. The Supreme Court, the appeal court, the tribunal will now come back to look in depth of the cases and take a decision whether Kempela is right or not. But as it is now, they have no choice but to listen to the case and the plea, the submission of Kempela.
Okay.
While the case goes on, Oberiwori remains the bona fide governor of Delta State.
Okay, now let's quickly run to that of Kiamo as it suspends Nigerian air project and also concession of airports. We saw the drama that played out towards the twilight of the last administration.
Yes,
of
hiring
Ethiopian Air and the whole drama that unfolded.
I even learned the man that wrote the number on the aircraft is from Iwrepopo.
Oh, come on. So I want your reaction to that. Is it the right thing to do, suspending that project and also the issue of concession of airports?
You cannot build on falsehood. What happened towards the twilight of that administration was purely on falsehood.
Okay.
If we are actually a country that we claim to be, those people are not supposed to be walking freely on the streets of Lagos by now, or Nigeria. Let me use the word Nigeria by now. You cannot do that to a whole country, Nigeria. We call ourselves the giant of Africa. Then you go to a place and bring one rickety aircraft. Even there has been a situation in Nigeria where they were using ladder to climb into the aircraft. I don't know whether you saw it. And we have a government in place. We have Minister of Aviation. We have overseen Superman, which is the president. All these people supposed to have been in the gulag by now. Then let Nigeria have a free breath, and they should let us breathe.
Well, comrade, you have indeed spoken well today, but I have to let you out because my PD is giving me the side eye. I have to let you go for now, but we do look forward to having you next week as usual.
You can imagine. She said she has logged me off.
Logged you off, and for now. Anyways, for now, we need to say thank you so much for the whole 1 week of being with us, and most certainly, like she said, next week will be another lovely time for us to
By His grace.
By His grace.
All right. Thank you very much, dear viewers, for sticking with the paper review on Quest. But do not forget, the paper review is sponsored by the Vanguard newspaper. Have a lovely Friday.